Hey everyone, welcome back to Citywide Bites. I'm your host, Max Bowen. In this episode, I'm talking with singer-songwriter John Delaney for his new EP, The Road. We talk all about the inspiration behind this, in part from his time in Nashville, Tennessee, and the amazing artists he works with. John also talks about his growth as an artist over the years and gives his advice for those just starting out and how to overcome those obstacles. Enjoy. All right. Well, John, I want to say first off, thank you so much for joining us. I have been listening to The Road, an absolutely amazing collection of music, sir. And I'm so glad that we get to just talk all about it now.
I'm excited. That's
All
cool.
right. Now, I want to start by just with the story behind this album. How did this whole thing come to be?
Well, it's interesting. I've released, a number of albums and singles, and post-pandemic, I was definitely not inspired to write. I'll call it artist-centric music. I released a Christmas album, which was an all original music, and I already had a couple of singles because that was kind of appropriate for the pandemic. And then as we were coming out of it, like a summer song that was kind of like Beach Boys influence, but a little bit off the beaten path from what my stuff normally sounds like. And then I'd say I've been having some connections in Nashville for many years. I went there. I used to live in Los Angeles, and I would go back and forth to Nashville, play there and stuff. So I reconnected with a few people. One of the writers that I knew in Los Angeles, he moved to Nashville. So I went down there about 2.5 years ago, wrote a couple of songs. I was like, wow, I can still do this. Like, and I just felt like it was time to kind of like come back to like the artist in me,
Mhm.
and just let it flow. And these guys are the songwriters I work with down there. 4 of the 5 songs were written in Nashville, and they're just great songwriters and great guys. And the songs all came off like mostly written in 2 hours, basically, which is unheard of for me. So that was really very inspiring to me. So I think it was more just like rediscovering that I'm an artist and a songwriter, and then I figured, well, yeah, this is a nice collection of songs. I'm going to put it out. I'm not going to do a full album. It's doesn't kind of make sense in this day and age to do a full album unless there's a huge demand for an artist putting an album out. So I think
Yeah.
a 5 song EP is a nice collection of songs. It's a nice, just enough, and it shows a little diversity, but it's a good reflection of where I am right now as an artist.
I agree. I agree. And what was it like to sort of get back into this part of your life after some time outside of it?
Yeah, well, it's not that I was stopped. I wasn't not doing things. I was doing shows, and I was,
Mhm.
I just wasn't writing. So, and that's kind of like my main thing, like I'm not really prolific. I don't write like a ton. I rather focus on really good songs and fewer of them. So it really was the writing aspect that was kind of missing for me, and it felt like, that's one of the main things I love and why I'm doing this. So it was important for me to kind of get back into that and just reconnect with that part of me.
Okay. Now, one of the things I read is that for this album, you worked with a producer, Creighton Doane.
Yeah.
Who is Creighton? How the two of you meet, and what was it like working with him?
So Creighton Doane lives in Toronto. He is a former called Maritimer here in Nova Scotia. Lived here, grew up in the cover circuit. Then he moved to Toronto many years ago. We reconnected. We kind of met each other. I opened for a band called Honeymoon Suite a long time ago when I first started. He was playing drums for them, pretty big Canadian act, well known. And then we reconnected in the 2007 era. I released an album on a small label in Canada through Universal Music in Canada. And there was a song on there that was called Go the Distance. It was like a cool song, but he wanted to remix it for me. He said, look, I think I've got some ideas. We just kind of reconnected on the phone, or I don't know how it was. But anyway, so from that day on, we started working together as co-songwriters, and he's produced pretty well most of my albums in the last since 2008 or 9. So we've had a long-standing relationship, and I say, he's a drummer, so I love working with he understands rhythm. He's a super nice guy and super musical, like plays a lot of instruments, and we get along very well. So we've had a very very productive and good working relationship.
That's great. That's really good to kind of have that relationship because, especially for like so many years. What would you say Creighton kind of brings to the table, just beyond, I guess, like a musical background? What do you think helps make your music better with him?
Well, obviously his production and engineering skills.
Yeah.
He produces and engineers, and I think everything he's done has been really good, and actually even getting better. And that's not to diss anything that was done before. It's always been good. We've always get on the radio, been charting, all that stuff. But it's even better, and I feel I'm getting better as an artist, a singer. Even I'm improving my voice. I'm improving my songwriting. Everything's getting better. So if we're both kind of getting better together, that's kind of really cool. And he's just such a musical, comes from a very musical family. His sister, Melanie Doane, she had a deal with Sony Canada,
Hmm.
had a couple of big hits in Canada. His father, Chalmers, started a ukulele program back in the 70s in Nova Scotia, and it was like it brought all kinds of kids back into music. So there's such a musical background for Creighton, and I can tell him something. And I say, "Here's what I'm thinking." He'll totally get what I'm saying, and most of the
Hmm.
time we agree. Not all the time, which is good, but because like I'll say, "We'll try this." He said, "Well, no, try may not work as this," and vice versa, and we're able to communicate with each other that way, which I think is very important as for a producer and artist.
Yeah, yeah. The
You know,
open communication. Like you don't want the producer that just says, "Oh yes" to everything you do. It's good to have someone say, "Well, this instead. Let's try this instead."
exactly, exactly, and be open to it. Because you got to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That I think is actually some pretty good advice too, is to be open to the producer's feedback, as opposed to just saying, "Okay, sure, whatever they say."
Well, either yeah, and I mean, there's no point in having a producer if you just want to just do everything yourself, right?
Hmm.
So they'll bring in alternate ideas. And sometimes you do clash, but as long as you clash constructively, that's the key, right? And we're both very, even-tempered guys. We don't, blow up or anything, but it's it's important to listen to someone else's opinion with who you trust and respect, and say, well, okay, why are they doing that? And the other thing about working with Creighton, which has been great, like I could see someone going back to the same producer and getting the same sound and the same thing every time, right? And
Hmm.
Creighton is not like that. We try to grow together, as I say, improving skills, but also even like music. Like I'm a bit of a chameleon. I'm a rock artist at heart. And if you heard my band live, you'd say, yeah, that's a rock band, but it's not like the Foo Fighters, but it's a lot heavier than it comes off as. But I've done some pretty light stuff too, light rock if you want to call it like that, and delved into like country vibe in the last few years as well. So we're not stuck in one thing. We always try to kind of grow a little bit, which is really
Hmm.
great, really great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say kind of pushes you to change? Pushes you to say try new things or experiment?
I think it just comes out naturally like that. I don't think
Hmm.
it's like occasionally we'll say like, I want to do this, I want to make this song more, we want to produce it to more rock, heavier rock. That's sometimes we do that. But I think that the music that I write, just comes out a certain way, and we follow that road. Pardon the pun. And
Haha, I get it.
and yeah, and that's what it is. It's really just letting the song almost dictate where it's going to go, and that's kind of how you kind of grow. It's not just like, yeah, we're like, I feel kind of like, say, the legacy rock bands like AC/DC, like they can't really come out with anything completely different because it would alienate the fans, right? I'm in a place where I'm not a legacy artist, but I've been doing it a long time. And I've had some hits, sort of thing, but I can still grow and change without like people freaking out about it. It's cool.
Yeah, I really don't see Metallica coming out with like a folk album anytime soon.
No, I mean, David Bowie, I got to give him credit. He's always,
Yes.
he was a chameleon. And it was great. And there's a
Hmm.
few people like that, but I think, and it's not a bad thing to have an audience. I mean, look, these guys, they go tour and
They
they
still,
play,
yeah,
and
they
they,
still
so
pack the venues.
why, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. But
Exactly.
in my case, I just like, and it's not like I'm for country, I'm not doing like a country hat and no twang. It's just like, Bon Jovi put out a country tinged record in 2007 or six or so, and it was quite good. It's kind of like that, a little bit of like, you grow a little bit here, grow a little bit there, go, a little bit of multi genre, and it makes it more interesting too, man. 'Cause I mean, it's just,
Exactly. Yeah, that's
Nice.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let us go back to the road because there's definitely a lot more to talk about here. One of the things I read is this was kind of inspired from by your journey from your home in Nova Scotia to Nashville and everything that happened there. So, how did the trip kind of factor into this?
I think it was a really a main impetus. I kind of had, I live in Mahone Bay, which is about an hour from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and it's
Hmm.
very beautiful, nice, and it's creatively inspiring, but it's slightly rural, so it's not like going to Nashville or Los Angeles, so because there's an energy in those cities. So I felt like I kind of need to get back to that energy, where I'm in a town where everyone is doing music and it's not unusual. It's like, oh, he's a farmer or a banker. No, he's a musician, and it's perfectly normal. And that's cool. That's cool about being in a larger center. So I'm uh, going down there, just feeling the energy, connecting with the songwriters that I did was, I think, really crucial for me to that's how it came about, and that's how the sound came about from that.
Hmm. Now, I will have to admit, I have never been to Nashville. I keep
Oh,
saying you got to go. Someday it'll happen. It's on the list. But what was it like for you to be there, especially for like the first time?
well, I said I mentioned I was there pre-pandemic. I did a couple of
Hmm.
things there. The
Hmm.
first time I went there was like, this is really cool. And it's not what you think. It's not all country music. There's
No.
certainly a lot of country music, but I'd say in the last 15 years, a lot of rock artists have moved there.
Hmm.
And there's pop and rock. There's everything. And it's a city you can get around pretty easily. It's a beautiful city. There's lots of beautiful things. It's not huge like Los Angeles, where I lived as well. It's just got a better vibe, I think, and it's opening. People are open to you. They're very nice, and I just feel like I feel kind of at home there in a strange way. It really feel like a second home.
I hear that a lot because I have a couple of friends who moved down there, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, and they used to live in Boston. And you would think, oh, Boston, Nashville. No, they said they got down there and they said we were home. This is our home. So it's that very, like you said, the
It is,
welcoming
yeah,
attitude. Um,
really,
any
yeah.
high any highlights in terms of like just general experiences you get to like play out while you're down there?
I did. Let me see. It wasn't the last time, but like of the 3 or 4 times I was down there for writing, I did a writers round with Michael J, who was one of my co-writers, and Scott Barrier, who turned out to be one of my co-writers as well. And it was really fun. I mean, it was like, wow, this is really cool because I've started doing these writer rounds here in Nova Scotia as well, a few of them, and I thought, I've got enough history now to kind of tell some cool stories about the songs and everything. And it just when I was up on stage doing that register, I was like, this feels great. And so yeah, playing out was um, another thing that was like, I think the first time I went back to Nashville to write, I did this round, and like that was inspiring to me, very inspiring. So um, and there's a lot. I mean, if I lived there, I could do writers' rounds a lot more because there's a lot more
Mhm.
that's going on. But that's okay. I mean, as I say, it's kind of like that the second home idea, and there's no lack of musical performance opportunities down there. Let's put it like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do
Yeah,
you ever think, maybe I could like just, move down there for good, make that my real home?
I have thought of that, and we talked about it. The real barrier is being a Canadian going to the United States.
Yep,
And
fair
there's
enough.
there's a number of things, and I'm not talking necessarily political. It's so that our dollar is like it's a, your dollar is like 35-40% more than ours. So if I'm making Canadian money and I'm living down in the U.S., it just
Yep,
gets washed away.
fair enough. Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I moved back to Canada. And there's a visa and there's all kinds of requirements there too. The U.S. government has put a lot of restrictions on Canadian musicians. It's way easier for an American musician to come up and play in Canada than just to go down there. Way
I
easier.
get you.
Yeah, so those barriers have kind of, as of now, it's more like, okay, going in and out. We'll see what
Sure.
happens in the future. I'm certainly open to that idea, but it's more of a logistics thing right now.
I get you. All right.
Yeah,
Let us talk a bit about the folks that you work with because you mentioned already Michael J. And I also saw that you worked with a number of other artists, Michael Delaney being one of them as well. What would you
yeah.
say these folks kind of added to your music that kind of strengthened the road?
Well, both those guys have had major hits. Like
Hmm.
Delaney's had Faith Hill's biggest hit, "Breathe," 7 country #1 singles. Michael
Yeah,
J.
yeah. I was like reading his background, like Faith Hill, Blake Shelton, Kenny Chesney, Rascal Flatts. So yeah, he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good.
And it's strange how we met. I'll tell you that in a second. But he's amazing. And Michael J. again, Toy Soldiers, huge song. But
Hmm.
he's had cuts with Celine and Dion and all these people. So they bring that hit song thing about them with everywhere they go. Michael Delaney, the countryside of it, which is really good. But ironically, Michael Delay and Jay, even though they both live in Nashville now, Michael J moved there a few years ago from Los Angeles. We met in 2015 and we wrote a song together there. That's how I met him. But they're both pop rock guys. Even though Delaney has had so many country hits, he's a rock pop guy usually. And a guy found me, a publisher, um, Michael Davenport. He found me online at some very old music I released when I first started, even under a different moniker. And it was more like a synth rock thing, and it has an 80s vibe. And it's like, yeah, I found your stuff. I really like to represent it to film and TV. I think, what? This stuff is sitting on the shelf. I don't even publicize that I do it, like I have it. So I did this publishing deal with him for my first, little bit of music. And then he knew Michael Delaney and introduced me to him. So it was all through these connections. This guy found me online randomly, not even through my website, through this demo that I had that someone put up from the old music. It's so strange. And then Delaney and I, connected on the phone the first time I went down. And then we said, okay, we got to, really click on the phone and we're going to write together. So the next time we went down, it was just so easy. And him and Michael J, my God, Michael J and Michael Davenport, my publisher, sorry, Delaney and Davenport, so many Michaels here. They worked at Famous Music Publishing and they were handling Michael J's catalog at the time. They were tape copy boys.
Wow,
Isn't that crazy?
that's wild.
And Michael J and Davenport had never gotten together, even though Davenport had all the hits later on. So there was such a synchronicity going on there, and I'm just hitting it off. Like I'm like, this is really great. I'm like, wow, I feel like I belong here, but it's like, am I worthy? And it's so great. It's a great feeling. It's not like there's no ego. These guys have no ego, and
That's that's really good. That's
it's
really good. Like,
important.
and like you mentioned earlier, some of their backgrounds. I was just reading a little more about Michael J. Like working with like Celine Dion, of course. That like that alone, so just like hang your whole career on, I think. But also like Eminem, Gloria Estefan, New Kids on the Block. Like, okay,
Yeah,
this is a range, and I love it.
yeah, I know. And he's such a good lyricist. Like he comes up with lyrics on the spot, and you just say it's a range. He's worked with country artists. He's worked with Celine Dion, like a easy listening style. Uh, Eminem covered. Did you know Eminem covered Toy Soldiers? I mean,
That's right.
he had a
Yes,
big hit with
yes,
that. And
yes.
yeah, so it translates his music. He's like me, a bit of a chameleon. He's just a songwriter, not a
I
performer.
would say so. Yeah.
But it's cool. Yeah, it's much very much a synchronicity with these guys.
I love it. I love to hear that. All right, John. So you've been doing this for a little while. I want
Yeah.
to get your advice for all like the would-be musicians out there. What's a good way to get your music career just started off in the first place?
Well, I think that you've got to be prepared to work really hard and work very diligently at it and be patient because most things don't happen overnight. I know we do have an overnight sensation culture here, now and you get discovered and you can, on YouTube or something or TikTok, but it's most people are going to have to take a long road again. And you have to be willing to, got to get that in.
Keep coming
But
back to that, aren't we? I love that.
but you gotta really stick to it. And I think I've been asked this question a lot, and I think the best advice I could say is be the best you can be, and
Yep.
keep, like we talked about earlier, keep getting better. Like don't ever say I'm good enough or I've reached my limit. Like always strive to be as best as you can be, and that'll help in every aspect of it, songwriting, performing, recording, whatever. and
Mm.
it's a learning process. Be open to learning about that.
Oh, definitely, definitely. How about overcoming obstacles? Because I imagine, especially when you start out, there's a lot of bumps in the road. How do you move past that and not and just like not get discouraged?
There's way more no's than there's yeses, and every single artist I've ever spoken with, whether it be very famous people or people you've never heard of, that have the same story. So there's I think it's just a matter of if you want to do something and you come to an obstacle, find a different way around that. Don't
Mm,
keep beating your head, going back to the same thing over and over again. Try something different. Don't get discouraged. Let yourself feel bad for a day or two, and then get over it and keep going. Because if you really believe in what you're doing and feel it's people are related to it and there's connection there, then you should be doing it, and you'll find ways to do it. I think people almost kind of what you're asking here. I think is people get discouraged and they give up too early, and maybe that person could have been had a great hit in them or whatever.
exactly.
So it's not an age thing anymore. I mean, there is ageism in the business, no question, but I feel like now anyone can have a hit, anyone can be out there. The Stones are in their 80s, people still seem to be okay with that. So don't worry about being 25, and if you're 30, I remember saying to myself when I was 30, if I, geez, I don't know if I keep doing it. And 30 comes, and it's like, well, the following year I released my first album, and was on a tour, across Canada essentially. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's never
it's
too late.
no, it really isn't. And I think it's just a matter of belief in yourself and patience and stick to it. And don't let obstacles. There's going to be them. Just that's what they're gonna. It's going to come up, whatever that is. Just go around it.
Exactly. All right, John. Well, to wrap this whole thing up, of course, the big question is, what is next for you?
Well, so a lot of stuff going on right now. I've been fortunate to be nominated for some awards for this project. Yeah, so they just passed. I was nominated for a Hollywood Independent Music Awards for the Remember in November pop rock category.
Hmm.
I've got 3 nominations. Another thing is Josie Music Awards that are being held in Nashville.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're at the Grand Ole Opry. So this is my 3rd year being nominated. I've got 3 nominations down there this year. So I'll be hitting down there in September. Be going so back to Nashville. I just got a note from Scott. We're trying to put a writers round together. Be doing some writing down there. The next single off the album is "Follow Your Own Road," which I referred to multiple times today. Shameless promotion.
Of
And
course.
yeah, and that's kind of that song is what this whole interview is basically that song is about that.
Oh.
Yeah, so and we're shooting a music video in early September, so that'll be out September 18th is the
Hmm.
date for that single. And we're submitting for the Grammys. We're submitting, we're doing all kinds of things like that behind the scenes. I don't have any shows lined up other than they said right around for a few months. I've got some stuff going in Nova Scotia, and then some new things in the new year. So,
I, I like it. All right.
yeah.
Well, folks, we have told you everything you need to know. Now, here's what you do. You go to johnmullane.com, JONMULLANE. Everything is there. Check out the road. Let us know what's your favorite song. Which one resonated most with you? We'd love to hear that stuff. And John, thank you once again for doing this and cannot wait for next time. And that brings this episode to a close. I really hope you enjoyed the episode and picked up a few things along the way. If you want to support the show, please like this episode and share as much as you can. If you want to check out other kinds of episodes, you can find that right here. And to subscribe, it's right there. This has been Citywide Bites, and I'll see you all next time.